morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Truth Conductor Show, Saturday in Proverbs. Happy Saturday, everybody. No, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness or Seventh-day Adventist. I just follow my calendar. My calendar goes from Sunday to Saturday. So I count Saturday as the Sabbath day, the seventh day, not Sunday. You know, a lot of people will be celebrating the first day of the week, which is tomorrow, as the last day. And those are some things that, Christians are going to have to reconcile. Are you going to follow tradition like most folk do? Are you going to follow God? And you'll find most Christians are following tradition, okay? That's why they go to church on Sunday. Every Sunday they go to church. But Proverbs is my favorite book in the Bible because there's a chapter for every day of the month. And when there's not 31 days in the month, just keep reading until you catch up, okay? And what I like about Proverbs is, Proverbs will show you how to live today, not 2,000 years. You ain't got to stress your mind to try to imagine what it was like. It'll show you how to live today. It'll give you tools to deal with today. Okay, and that's why I like Proverbs. All right. It will show you what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, or how to do it. You'll find it in Proverbs. That guaranteed. All right, so let's pray and get in the word. Father, I thank you for another day around your word. Speak through my mind, speak through my heart, and speak through my lips, Lord, that I may precisely articulate this word to pierce the hearing, the vision, and the hearts of your children so that we may live the righteous lifestyle that you have ordained for us to live. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I read from the Message Bible and the New King James Version to give you a comparison about what's being said. Okay, all right, so since today is the 12th, we're going to start on the 12th chapter of Proverbs, verse 1 from the Message Bible. If you love learning, you love the discipline that goes with it. How short-sighted to refuse correction. If you love learning, you love the discipline that goes with it. There is a, you just can't go through this stuff willy-nilly and think it doesn't have an impact or it doesn't have a meaning. That discipline is what'll keep you from giving up. Okay, you'll be able to withstand the adversity that you're confronted with. In the New King James Version, it says, whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid. That's the person that won't listen. When you hate correction, you know it all. You got all the answers. You don't want to entertain nothing from nobody or anything. It's all your way or the highway, okay? When you know it all. Verse 2, a good person basks in the delight of God, and he wants nothing to do with devious schemers. Okay? That's the backstabber. Okay? In the New King James Version, it says, a good man attains favor from the Lord, but a man of wicked intentions he will condemn. A good man will obtain favor from the Lord. Man, favor, let me see. There's a proverb It's better to have favor than money and gold, silver and gold. Let me see. Let me find out where that is so I can. Um, let me see. Can I find this? Oh, Proverbs 22. Okay. This is what it says. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, love and favor rather than silver and gold. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Well, how you get a good name? By keeping your word, by being a person of integrity. That's how you get a good name. You know, you can be trusted. You'll get a good name. Okay? Verse 3. You can't find firm footing in a swamp, but life rooted in God stands firm. You can't find firm footing in a swamp, but life rooted in God stands firm. In the New King James Version, it says, a man is not established by wickedness, but the root of righteousness cannot be moved. See, all of this backbiting, this revenge, this getting even, all of that stuff is coming. It's in hand as a day. It's in hand as a day. And if that's the energy that you're putting out, that's what you're going to get back. Verse 4. A hearty wife invigorates her husband, but a frigid woman is cancer in the bones. A hearty wife invigorates her husband, but a frigid woman is cancer in the bone. In the New King James Version, it says, an excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who causes shame is like rottenness in his bones. Okay? That's the power of that woman. See, a lot of people don't realize that woman is, if man is created in the image of God, look at the vessel it comes out of. That woman is so powerful that she can create, not man, woman, can give birth and create in the image of God. Okay? Verse 5. The thinking of principled people makes for justice. The plots of degenerates corrupt. In the New King James Version, it says, the thought of the righteous are right, but the counsel of the wicked are deceitful. And man, we see some of that in our federal government right now. Okay? I saw a video where these people were talking about down in Texas, in Kerrville, where this flood happened. The Biden administration was trying to get them some money, and they refused the money because they said the federal government was corrupt. They couldn't be trusted. That's what the people said. They refused the money because the federal government couldn't be trusted. Now look at all the lives that's been lost. Okay, because you holding something personal. You done personalized it. I wonder how them people feel right now. Um, verse 6. The words of the wicked kill. The speech of the upright saves. In the New King James Version, it says, the words of the wicked are lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright will deliver them. And see, when it says uh, uh, the words of the wicked are lie in wait for blood, those are people that want something for nothing. This is why crime is out of control in America right now, because we got too many people that want something for nothing. They don't want to go out and get it on their own. They want to take what you got. That's a lazy person. Okay? Verse 7. Wicked people fall to pieces. There's nothing to them. The homes of good people hold together. Wicked people fall to pieces. There's not, they panic. That's it. When they fall to pieces, they panic. That's what this is. This is wicked people fall to pieces. There's nothing to them. Well, when you fall to pieces, man, you panic. You out of control. It's just that simple. When you fall to pieces, man, you out of control. In the New King James Version, it says the wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. See, and the world has gotten the body of Christ thinking that if you live in a righteous lifestyle, oh, you ain't perfect. Righteousness has nothing to do with perfection. Let me say that again. Righteousness has nothing to do with perfection. But righteousness has everything to do with not being harmful, not being hurtful, not being revengeful, not being deceitful. That's righteousness, okay? Has nothing to do with perfection. Verse 8, a person who talks sense is honored. Airheads are held in contempt. In the New King James Version, it says, a man will be commended according to his wisdom, but he who is of a perverse heart will be despised. Okay? And see, and this is the shift. And let me tell y'all, a shift has taken place. Let me say that again. Okay? A shift has taken place. And unfortunately, a lot of people gonna miss the boat because they focus on the wrong things. You know, that drama, that confusion, man, get away from that stuff. Verse 9, better to be ordinary and work for a living than act important and starve in the process. Let me read that again. Better to be ordinary and work for a living than act important and starve in the process. It says, in the New King James Version, it says, better is the one who is slighted but has a servant than he who honors himself but lacks bread. And you can go and find any homeless person that honors himself, okay? Well, thank you. And my response to that is, I'm waiting for for God to catch up with me. Thank you. I'm waiting for God to catch up with me. Sometimes I want to go. At this first time I've seen you um, on my channel, Flower Bear. Matter of fact, you're the first one up in here. Okay, so I had to go check you out. I had to go check you out just to see. Okay, you joined July 20th, 2014. Man, you got what? Almost 9 years. No, 11 years. This 25, yeah, 11 years. You got 11 years in that you've been on YouTube. Yeah. So, but thank you though. I appreciate that compliment. Um, verse 10. Good people are good to their animals. The good-hearted bad people kick and abuse them. Good people are good to the animals. Okay? In the New King James Version, it says, a righteous man regards the life of his animal, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Verse 11, the one who stays on the job has food on the table. The witless chase whims and fancies. In the New King James Version, it says, he who tills his land will be satisfied with bread. But he who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. Let's look up that word frivolity. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Y'all forgive me if I ain't. Let's see here. Frivolity, lack of seriousness, lightheartedness. In other words, you play too much. Hey Tanya, what's going on? Thank you for joining me. You play too much. So this is what it says. He who tills his land will be satisfied with bread, but he who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. And that frivolity is a lack of seriousness. And of course, and you see that in some of your children. A lack of seriousness. They don't, we take too much for granted when you ain't serious. Verse 12, what the wicked construct finally falls into ruin, while the roots of the righteous give life and more life. What the wicked construct finally falls into ruin, while the roots of the righteous give life and more life. Now, in the New King James Version, it says, the wicked covet the catch of evil men, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. This is, let me give you an example of that. This is Psalms 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the paths of sinner, nor sit in the seats of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bring forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. Okay? All right? There is some rewards to living a righteous lifestyle. Okay, verse 13. The gossip of bad people get them in trouble. The conversation of good people keep them out of it. Why is that? Because they don't go around gossiping. They don't deal in the drama. That's why conversation of a good person, man, it ain't they don't focus in, the latest gossip, what's going on in the Diddy trial and the Epstein list and all that other stuff. Man, ain't got time for that. Ain't got time for that. Okay? Ain't got time for that at all. In the New King James Version, it says, the wicked is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous will come through trouble. Uh, it's a whole lot of people do, though, Tanya. It's a whole lot of people do got time for it. Man, in fact, that's their life. That they just get caught up in that drama, man, and they got to, they got to have that gossip. They can't, their day is not complete unless there is some gossip or some drama that they entertain. If they don't entertain that during the course of a day, man, their day ain't complete. Verse 14. Well-spoken words bring satisfaction. Well done work has its own reward. Listen to this, y'all. Well-spoken words bring satisfaction. Well done work has its own reward. In the New King James Version, it says, a man will be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands will be rendered to him. How is a man satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth? What he's saying. See, this is why I'm telling y'all, don't get caught up in the gossip. See, because these idle, innocent words, you taking it too serious. Now, listen, a man will be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth. Well, if a man will be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, he can also be satisfied with bad by the fruit of his mouth. There's two sides to every coin, y'all. And when you live a righteous lifestyle, you on one side of the coin, okay? And that sinful lifestyle is on the other side of the coin. And you have to decide what side you're going to be on. And this is where a lot of people are compromising, man, the word of God to fit in with what other people are saying and doing. And that's not necessarily God's will. See, because when you're walking in God's will, you're going to have some patience, buddy. It ain't all the time going to come just like that. Verse 15. Fools are headstrong and do what they like. Wise people take advice. Fools are headstrong and do what they like. You can't tell them nothing. When you're headstrong, you won't listen. No matter what good advice you give a headstrong person, they ain't gonna accept it. And some of your children are headstrong. You can't tell them nothing. And when you got a child that's like that, man, you got to love them from a distance. You got to, because if you get close to them, it's always gonna be some drama. It's always gonna be some confusion. So you have to love them from a distance and let them work that stuff out. Okay? In the New King James Version, it says, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. They got a guy that's been coming down to the White House, and he first came down. He was selling Trump hats, and he had the hats all on the ground. And I said, brother, get a table, man. Take your hats up off the ground. Put them on the table. Okay? Go get a little folding table that you can carry, you know. Better still, get your wagon. So you can just pile everything in. If you're on the subway, how you get? He said, I drive. I said, well, throw a wagon in your car, man, and just load your stuff up, bring your chair, and come on out. He said, you know what, man, that's some great advice. He said, I never even considered that hats on the ground, that people would have a problem with it. And I said, man, Venom been good to me. And then when he followed my advice and he came out and he had his table, he was trying to put his hats on his table all neat. I said, brother, just pile them. I said, people love to dig through stuff, man. That's just, they just, when you just pile the hats up on the table, they want to dig in it and see what they can find. And I said, when somebody come, stand up and entertain them. So that when people see one person standing there, they don't know what your conversation is about. They'll stop and start, and that's how you keep the ball. He said, man, you know what? That's some good advice you gave me. And he did listen, but a lot of them other young boys, they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. Okay, verse 16. Fools have short fuses and explode all too quickly. A prudent quietly shrugs off insults. Listen to this, okay? Listen to this. Fools have short fuses and explode all too quickly, and all of us have been a fool. Let me say that again. All of us have been in this position where we done exploded too quickly before we found out what was going on. All right? In the New King James Version, it says, a fool's wrath is known at once, but a prudent man covers shame. See, a prudent man covers shame. Y'all remember when I was wearing that mask, when I was hiding that dental issue that I had? Okay? And people, oh no, come on, man, you don't need that mask. Come on, No, because all people need to do is get something that they can hold on to. Who knows what years down the road that will be going on in my life. And you'll take something that I've done and say, oh, look, you remember this? You see, and people, and see, this is how you can tell what kind of person you're dealing with. When somebody's always throwing up in your face what they done for you, it ain't sincere. They have an agenda. Let me say that again, ladies. When a man always throw up in your face what he has done for you, he has an agenda, and it ain't you. It might be your panties, but it ain't you. Okay? He got an agenda. It's just that simple. Verse 17. Truthful witness by a good person clears the air, but liars lay down a smokescreen of deceit. And this is one of the reasons that We're so divided because, you know, people will do any and everything. They're not sincere. People don't know who to trust. They don't know who to trust. And thank God, man, you know, I came up with my message, stop hating each other because you disagree, 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was right. Now, see, hindsight is 2020. Why is that? Because you can go through some stuff and look back at it to see what you should or should not have done. And so I can take the last 5 years and go back and look and say, man, I was right on point. When I said stop hating each other because I was on point then. And 5 years later, I'm still on point. That's why I don't give up with it. I know it's on point. Okay? New King James Version. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness, deceit. See, lies will get you in the door, but lies can't keep you in the door. Case in point. Remember when this broad Pam Bundy? Oh, I got the Epstein list right here on my desk. And now the list don't even exist. So they say. But she came and told the world. She had the list on her desk. Okay? And now they done put out a ruling that there was no list. Well, and you lied to get in that position. And now that you in that position, you still lying. She probably will be the first Trump official to resign. Because they're going to put some pressure on her, man. They're going to put some pressure on her for her lies. Okay? They're going to put some pressure on her. Because they want something done. And she told them, I got the list. It's right here on my desk. And only weeks later to come out and say, oh, no, there's no list. What was you talking about? Okay? Verse 18. Rash language cuts and maims, but there's healing in the words of the wise. In the New King James Version, it says, there is one who speaks like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. Why? Because it's not dividing people. It's not that's a good way. That's a good thing. Man, I ain't heard that term in a long time. A silver-tongued devil. And that's what you're dealing with. Okay? Verse 19. Truth lasts. Lies are here today, gone tomorrow. See, hold on. In the New King James Version, it says the truthful lip shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. The truth is the only thing that can last forever. A lie can't last forever. A lie is going to be exposed eventually. But the truth, and when you walk in your truth, you ain't got to be looking over your shoulder. You ain't got to be trying to remember what you said. Because when you're telling the truth, the same story, you're going to tell the same story over and over again, and they're not going to be any discrepancies in that story. But when you're lying, you always got to try to remember the previous lie that you done told to cover to be able to cover with the next lie. So why waste your time having to worry about that? Just deal with the truth. And that way, you ain't got to lose no sleep. See, because all them people that's losing sleep, they can't, because of their lies, yeah, they worried at night. And see, when you busy looking over your shoulder to see what's coming behind you, you can't see where you're going, and that's when you stumble and fall. Something real simple will come along and trip you up, and the whole house of cards will fall in. Verse 20. Evil scheming distorts the schemer. Peace planning brings joy to the planner. Evil scheming distorts the schemer. In the New King James Version, it says, deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Why is that? Because they ain't dividing nobody. They ain't trying to separate nobody. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is to be able to bring people together, because there is so much distrust among us that people really afraid to trust anybody, even the preachers. Okay? And that's the truth. That's why the churches have fallen off. Verse 21. No evil can overwhelm a good person, but the wicked have their hands full of it. No evil can overwhelm a good person, but the wicked have their hands full of it. In the New King James Version, it says, no grave trouble will overtake the righteous, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. Another advantage of living a righteous lifestyle, no matter what you're going through, it ain't going to overwhelm you. You'll be able to deal with it. And sometimes, you grow into that adversity. It just becomes natural, like lifting weights, man. After a while, it don't even bother you. See, it don't distract you. And that's what adversity comes to, distract you, to make you panic. Okay? But as you can see, no grave trouble will overtake the righteous, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. Verse 22. God can't stomach liars. He loved the company of those who keep their word. Let me read that again. God can't stomach liars. He loves the company of those who keep their word. In the New King James Version, it says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are his delight. Why is that? Because they walk in their integrity. They say what they mean. They mean what they say. Let me say that again. See, when you keep your word, you're going to say what you mean and mean what you say. And right now, one of the biggest issues that people have to deal with, folks don't know how to keep their word. They say one thing, but they mean something else. They come in skinning and grinning and got an agenda. And because people don't want to separate the good from the bad, they just lump everybody together. Verse 23. Prudent people don't flaunt their knowledge. Talkative fools broadcast their silliness. In the New King James Version, it says, a prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims foolishness. And see, nobody knows what you know until you start opening up your mouth. Let me say that again. Nobody knows what you know until you open up your mouth and start talking. That's when you're going to reveal yourself. Okay? That's when you will reveal yourself. And sometimes it's wise to play like you don't know, so you can see what other people know. And you can compare, let me see if they're telling me the truth or not. Verse 24. The diligent find freedom in their work. The lazy are oppressed by work. In the New King James Version, it says, the hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy man will be put to forced labor. Well, forced labor is jail. It's prison. Forced labor. Okay? And why? Because they want something for nothing. See, the hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy man will be put to forced labor because he went out here trying to get something for nothing and end up in jail. That's all forced labor is jail. That's jail, prison. Man, in fact, that's the only the prison system is the only place where slavery is still legal. Oh, by the way, y'all, I did put another thing, but I was complaining about the fence at the White House yesterday, but they did open up another one of the things. So sometimes it's good to make a little noise. You can get something done. They ain't open up the main ones, but they did open up the two gates so people didn't have to walk. You could see more people could walk in, and it'd be interesting to see tomorrow what it's going to be like. Verse 25. Worry weighs us down. A cheerful word picks us up. Worry weighs us down. A cheerful word picks us up. 25. In the New King James Version, it says, anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word maketh it glad. Well, why is anxiety in the heart of man causing depression? Because they're holding on to the past. They're holding on to something that they can't change, and they don't want to let go. Okay? Hey, B. Well, believe it or not, that's just the mindset of people wanting something for nothing. Because again, there's a trust issue. Okay? And I'm talking about, I'm not talking about these knuckleheads. I'm talking about everyday people that want something for nothing. You see, and those are the people that are always looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. And they get caught up and lose everything, trying to get something real quick, real fast. And you know that old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. All right? A lie. Verse 26. A good person survives misfortune, but a wicked life invites disaster. A good person survives misfortune. You're gonna go through some stuff, but it ain't gonna destroy you. It ain't gonna the Bible says a good man can fall 7 times and get back up again. But a wicked man will fall once and be destroyed. But that good person can fall 7 times and get back up again. So if you have that kind of knowledge, why are you afraid to try? When even if you fall, you're going to get back up. What are you afraid of? In the New King James Version, it says, the righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. The righteous should choose his friends carefully. And how do you choose your friends carefully? See, when somebody's always showering you with accolades and, adoration, they got an agenda. You can't do no wrong in their eyes. They got an agenda. Hey. Look at Trump. You want something from Trump, all you got to do is butter him up. All you got to do is make him the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you can get anything you want. Okay? Anything you want. But that stuff ain't true. Verse 27. A lazy life is an empty life, but early to rise gets the job done. A lazy life is an empty life. Your life is empty, man, when you're holding on to the past and you won't let go. Life is just passing you by. And you still holding on to some shit that has no value, don't add no value to what you're trying to do. And you won't let that shit go. And get upset with people when they be trying to say, come on, man, move on. Get away from that, leave that alone. But that's your decision. In the New King James Version, it says, the lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Diligence, a matter of fact, let me give you, I ain't going to assume that you know the definition of that word. Let me give it to you. Diligence. Careful and persistent work, effort. When you're diligent about something, man, come hell, high water, no water at all, you're still at it. When you're diligent. And the only way you can be diligent about some stuff is you have to believe in what you're doing. If you don't believe in it, you're going to give up. But if you believe in it, if you can see the big picture of what you're doing, you'll hang in there to hell, high water, no water at all. You're going to hang in there, man. You're going down with the ship when you're diligent. Okay? Verse 28. Good men and women travel right into life. Sin detours take you straight to hell. And that's so true. That is so true. In the New King James Version, it says, in the way of righteousness is life, and in his pathway, there's no death. Why? Because you say what you mean what you say, you walk in your integrity. That's what a lot of people don't. You know, you have to have some kind of standards if you want to be different. Because most folk don't have standards. Most folk are not even interested in standards. They only interested in what they can get at the moment. See, so um, it's y'all, we in for some interesting times now. And if you don't have a spiritual foundation that you can stand on, you're gonna be in trouble. And you can't fake this. You can't fake it. That's the beauty about this lifestyle. You can't fake it. And even if you do, you eventually will be exposed. You'll be exposed. Okay, you'll be exposed. So, you know, learn the difference about who's who and who you're dealing with. You know, look at their track record. See what they done stood for, what they done fought for. You know, what they've been. Just check it out. Check it out. And you'll see, man. And that's the end of chapter 12. Okay? Um man, listen, this is chapter 13. This is verse 1. Intelligent children listen to their parents. Foolish children do their own thing. Okay? Um, uh, Thank you, Jason. B say, do I think they should have religion back in school? Um, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say no to that question. And the reason that I'm saying no to that question now is because of the diversity of the country. Because a lot of people, a lot of kids are not Christians. What are they supposed to do? If you're gonna put religion, if you're gonna put it anywhere, put it back in the home. That's right. That if we're gonna turn this situation around that we dealing with, if we never heal the family, ain't nothing gonna change. And right now, the family is what's broken. Okay? It starts at home. It starts at home. The family is what's broken. Man, maybe y'all do, maybe y'all don't, but I was a single dad, um, raising my children, and I was and my children were abandoned by their mom. To the last time I saw my kids now are 42 and 41. Okay, the last time I saw my kids' mama, they was 2 and 3 years old. I ain't seen her since. Okay, and she's no stranger in my house. Paula is no stranger in my house. She'll never be a stranger in my house. Her name will never be a stranger in my house because that's their mama. I just don't know where she is. Okay, so I had to do what it was that I thought. And when my kids were coming up in the 80s in DC, man, we were the murder capital of the world. We were the murder capital of the world when my kids were coming up. And a lot of my kids' classmates got killed. A lot of my kids' classmates. Oh, that's my grandson. Yes, he does. My grandson. Yes, sir. That boy is on that trumpet. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's my grandson. That's my grandson. Yeah, he's on that trumpet, man. He's on it. He's on it. That's his call. That's just his call. And see, and a lot of people go through life, man, and they never know what their calling is. They never know what their purpose is. They never find it. And the reason they never find it is because they don't want to speak up. They don't want to rock the boat. See, sometimes when you find your purpose might be to rock the boat. Get people out of this complacency. See, when they can effectively make us be afraid of each other, they can also make us be afraid of them. See, that's how powerful fear is. See, when you start being afraid of other people, you will also fear what's making you afraid. And that's what's happening right now is people are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to stand up. People are afraid to challenge. And those that aren't afraid are the ones, oh, what they up to? Why you got to be the one? Why not? You ain't saying it. And if you notice, a lot of your critics and the ones who are, they ain't gonna do nothing but go along to get along. But they can criticize you. They can condemn you. They can demonize you. But they'll just go along to get along. And nothing will change under them. At least you will stand up. At least you will speak up. And most folk are afraid to speak up. They're afraid. Absolutely afraid. And they'll live on their knees in fear rather than dying on their feet as a person. They'd rather live on their knees in fear. Man, that's it for me. Okay? Appreciate y'all. Thank you so very much. Man, I'm telling y'all, a shift something has shifted. Something has shifted. I'm telling you, something has shifted. And you can either be caught up with the process or you're going to be left behind. Okay? Yeah, smiling in your face. Yeah, backstabbers. It's a lot of people out here like that right now. The only way they know how to do it is to deceive, to trick. You know, and a lot of them feel like once they see, if they can deceive you and win you over, then you'll overlook that and go along with the process. But that might not be the case. Okay? All right? So that's oh, wait a minute. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. All right, y'all. Man, happy Saturday. Enjoy your day today. It's a beautiful day. Let me see how hot it's going to be in D.C. I think it's getting up to 90 degrees today. Sunshine. And tomorrow we have a 65% of rain, 87 degrees. Monday, we got a 60% of rain, 90 degrees. Tuesday, 40%, 92 degrees. Wednesday, 40%, 93 degrees. Thursday, 45%, 92 degrees. Friday, 50%, 93 degrees. Then Saturday, 45%, 88 degrees. Sunday, 35%, 86 degrees. So we getting ready to go on another heat spell here on the East Coast. And again, man, say what you mean what you say, regardless to who laughing at you and what. Just walk in your integrity, and you'll see life will be a lot better. See y'all later.